Hello, Kennedy High School students. Welcome to this note-taking drill on finding content for your speech. In an effort to cite all my sources, I want to let you know that all of this content comes from this wonderful book called Well Spoken by Eric Palmer. And I'm giving him credit for all of it. All I have done is adapt it to your topic about Marie Antoinette. So you're all giving a speech about either Marie Antoinette's childhood, her marriage to King Louis XVI, her role as a mother, how well of a mom was she, how well of a queen was she, and lastly, her overall historical legacy. So as you think about your topics, this will help you find content from the book. And the book is huge. It's 450 pages. The vocabulary is very difficult. This is supposed to be a difficult exercise for you guys in the 9th grade world history. But I'm going to give you plenty of support. I'm going to help you write it. I'm going to help you analyze quotes. And you're all going to do a fantastic job. So let's talk about how do you collect content for your speech? How do you know what to use? How do you know what to leave out? And the first thing Mr. Palmer talks about is making the message valuable. And there are 6 ways you can do this. The first thing you have to do is identify the purpose of your speech. Is it to help people like Marie Antoinette? Is it to reaffirm why people should hate Marie Antoinette? Is it to have people feel sorry for Marie Antoinette? You need to pick a purpose first. And then, as you're reading the book, as you're collecting content, things will come to you that you're going to use to build this speech. Next, what content is required? What do you need? What's your checklist to pass this speech? What is the engaging content? And we'll talk more about that later. What content needs to be clarified or explained to my audience? And what connectors should be included to hook the audience members and get them engaged in the speech? And then lastly, what content are you going to leave out? I'll give you a hint. It's the boring stuff. So, in this next section, we're going to talk about the purpose of your speech. And you know the audience you're giving your speech to. It's your fellow 14, 15-year-old students. We're all in the 9th grade. We're all at Kennedy High School. So what are the things that we are interested in? What do you want to say to your audience? Do you want them to feel happy, sad, jealous, or apathetic regarding Marie Antoinette's childhood? Once they make the decision on what the purpose of the speech is, you'll be ready to collect this information. So once you have chosen your purpose, you know your topic already. We've been thinking about the purpose. Now it's time to make that decision. What do you want the audience to feel after listening to your speech? What do you want them to do with the information you're giving them in your speech? So for those of you who aren't good at listening and you want to write down what this says, you may use this slide. You can pause the video, but I'm going to move on to the next section. Oh, wait a second. I think I bolded things for you. Okay, I did. Oh, isn't that cool? Now that it's in bold, you can feel free to write it down. As this is a note-taking drill, I want to see in your notes not only the content that I've said, but what you think is going to be interesting about Marie Antoinette. Any ideas you've got about your speech, anything, any suggestions for your purpose. This is where you really start thinking it through and starting to develop the speech. So, next we're going to talk about required content. Teachers generally use the phrase at a minimum when it comes to content guidelines. You'll notice I said at a minimum, your speech needs to be 3 minutes. It should be no longer than 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It should be no shorter than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That is because it is difficult to speak for a length of time, and especially from a memorized speech. You need to know a lot of information, and you need to have organized that information. So you want to avoid speeches that are just lists of facts, and you want to find ways to make the content engaging with your audience. So remember, what are the things your audience is into? Do we have a common love of music, like Marie Antoinette did? Are you going to be able to make analogies to current celebrities that may be admired by your audience? How are you going to get your audience to care about Marie Antoinette? And you can ask some big questions, like what was the largest event in Marie Antoinette's childhood? Was it the death of her father? Was it the Franco-Austrian alliance against Prussia? Was it her mother's mixed messages or tough love? You get to be the psychologist. You get to speculate, and you get to make an argument, and then use information from the speech to back up your argument. So don't worry about what's due at a minimum. Worry about making a really interesting and engaging speech. So, and then also, this is your chance to become Dr. Phil. What are the things that affected Marie Antoinette? What are the lessons she learned from her difficult mother and her kind and loving, but unfaithful to her father? How do these things affect you? If these things have affected you personally, are you going to mention them in your speech? So these are some ways you can make this required content into interesting content. And next we're going to talk about engaging content, or as I like to say, leaving the boring stuff out. So if you want the audience to be interested in what you're saying, you need to be interested in what you're saying. If you get up and you just read your paper like a very boring person, you're not going to get a good grade, the audience is not going to care about your speech, it's going to be 3 minutes of boredom. So you need to come up with a hook, you need to come up with an angle, you need to come up with some shtick, and motivate us to care about what you're talking about. In the opening videos, How to Write Speech opening video, we've talked about the you-focused questions. You get some practice time developing you-focused questions. Put the audience in Marie Antoinette's shoes. What are the interesting things that have happened to her that are going to get the audience to care about Marie Antoinette? And you need to make the audience care about her. They can hate her more, they can love her more, they can feel sorry for her, they can not like her. Whatever your tact is, make sure that all the elements in your speech are going in that direction. And, I've heard a lot of you guys say, oh, this book is boring. Oh, I hate this topic. Oh, can I change my topic? No. There are fascinating details about Marie Antoinette's life in this book. It's your job to find the interesting ones. We've talked about, there's a lot of risque stuff about her body, about her love life, about speculation about whether she was faithful or not to the king. The king certainly had some interesting problems of his own. It's your job to dig in and find the intriguing details that are going to make your audience interested in this speech. So, what content is essential for this audience? What content would be meaningful for this audience? Your last litmus test is, if you were listening to this speech, would you be interested? If your answer is no, you need to throw out the boring stuff and add in some new interesting stuff. Clarifiers. So when I talk about clarifiers, what I'm talking about are the reasons you take notes and the reasons you gather information about your audience, is to tailor the content of the speech to that group. You want the group to, you want to hit the sweet spot. Whether you're all the same age, whether you're all interested in the same hobbies, whether you're all part of a team, the reason you tailor your information to that group is because it bonds it in a unifying purpose. We here at Kennedy High School, we believe in this. If you're giving a speech at a rival high school, you would say, oh, and we hate the people at Kennedy. And again, that's going to unify them. That's going to get them to really listen to your speech because, oh yeah, we have a unified purpose. So the biggest thing that you're going to see is, and this is what you're going to use your unfamiliar word log for, is that you're going to need to define some words that your audience is unfamiliar with. Most 14-year-olds don't understand or have a very difficult time understanding all the academic vocabulary, the French terms, the innuendo, all the stuff that's in this book. It's written at a very high level, so you need to explain it. You might also need to do some extra research to explain the context of some of these events. If you don't understand why the peasants and why the poor people were so angry at the Queen and the King, then you need to go back and read more about the French Revolution. And it's in your textbook, and it's on the internet, and you'll be getting a lot more video lectures about it. So the next thing you can do to clarify is, what would a child psychologist say about certain events in Marie Antoinette's life? Are they empowering? Are they scarring? Would they help a person? Would they hurt a person? The popular psychologists I grew up with were Dr. Laura, Dr. Ruth, and I know you guys maybe watched Dr. Phil. What would they say about Marie Antoinette? Would they like her? Would they dislike her? Would they feel sorry for her? Would they think she needs medication? So, lastly, what do you need to explain in your speech so that your listeners understand the meaning of your content? Here's where you're really stitching together your argument. If the purpose of your speech is to make us feel sorry for Marie Antoinette, then you're going to talk about all the mean people who gossiped about her, that said she was too skinny, and then they said she was too fat, and then they said she was a lousy mother, and then they said she was a lousy queen, and that she cheated on her husband, but of course they never said any of that to her face. And we've all had people say mean things about us. We know how it hurts our feelings. So you need to explain this so that your listeners care and understand, what the purpose of your speech is. All right, connectors. So your connectors help you make an effective speech because the audience believes the speech is designed specifically for them. I don't know what is going to differentiate a period 1 speech from period 2 speech, but if your audience thinks you are talking directly to them, they care about your speech. If your audience had heard the speech before, you've given it 1,000,000 times to 1,000,000 other groups, you have to change it and adapt it so they understand that it's specifically for them. And that would be something as simple as adding to your intro, hey, it's great to be here on a Tuesday, and I'm so glad it's not raining, and boy, did they clean this room? Did they paint the room? It looks great in here. Do some platitudes, do some nice things that make the audience know that you're happy to be in front of them and that you're happy to be spending time talking to them. So also, connecting the content of Marie Antoinette's life to all of us is easy to do. You can just ask us directly, would you raise your children the same way Marie Antoinette was raised? Would you push them into private schooling? Would you teach them 5 languages? Would you teach them the ways of etiquette? How would your parents react if they thought you were neglecting your schooling? For Marie Antoinette, the mother scolded her. She didn't take away her 56 horses or her suite of 5 rooms. Whereas I know when you guys neglect your schooling, you get things taken away from you. You get sent to your room, you get your cell phone taken away, there's no more Xbox until you bring your grades up. So what are some of the ways Marie Antoinette was disciplined by her parents, and would your parents do similar things? Next, you can use your knowledge of the audience to find the connectors that are going to bridge the gap between your topic and the lives of your listeners. So how do you make your audience relevant? How do you make the lives of your audience relevant to Marie Antoinette? None of us live in suites of 5 rooms. We're not living in 60-room mansions. Why do we care about Marie Antoinette? And you can talk about music connecting with Marie Antoinette, how she loved it, how your generation also loves it. These are ways you can connect with her. Lastly, what do you exclude? And I'm going to show you a V diagram that has divided some information about what she thinks is positive, what's positive about her life, and what's negative about her life. We will be using this V diagram more throughout the year as you write more and more argumentative prompts. But now the end of our time is upon us. I thank you for listening. I hope you got a good set of notes. And good luck collecting content on your speech for Marie Antoinette. I look forward to listening to it.